Is it recording?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
In our current consumer world, it's easy to overlook the impact everyday products like water bottles and plastic bags have on the environment. We only see these products for a few minutes, yet after we throw them away, they're never really gone. Plastic pollution has become the #1 environmental issue the world faces today. Single-use plastics and the convenience they offer have created a throwaway culture. As National Geographic states, many of these products, such as plastic bags and food wrappers, have a lifespan of mere minutes, yet they may persist in the environment for hundreds of years. An example of that brings that to light is 200 million plastic bags are used worldwide every minute, and an average time those bags are used is only 12 minutes. Today, to understand this environmental crisis, we're going to be discussing a few things. First, we're going to discover some background information on plastics. Second, we'll learn how this trash problem affects wildlife. And third, we will consider changes to the status quo that can provide a better future. It's imperative that we tackle this environmental crisis now rather than later. To better understand this issue, let's now examine some facts about plastic. According to a report from The Guardian, an estimated 8.3 billion tons of plastic has been produced only since the 1950s. That is the equivalent of the weight of 800,000 Eiffel Towers. Furthermore, half of all those plastics have only been produced in the last 15 years. And all that plastic still exists today on planet Earth, mostly as waste. First, plastics contain additives to make them stronger, more flexible, and more durable. However, these additives can extend the life of these plastics, and once they become litter, estimates say they can take as much as 400 years to break down. So it's impossible for plastic decomposition to keep up with the rate of production. So second, only 99% of the plastic produced has ever been recycled, and that's a big difference. A report by The Guardian found that 1 million plastic bottles are bought around the world every minute. 1 million bottles every minute. And this number is set to increase by 20% by 2021. And if we don't start cutting down on our plastic bottle consumption, the same report stated that 480 billion plastic drinking bottles were purchased in 2016 across the world. That's up from 300 billion just a decade ago. If we don't start cutting down on our water bottle consumption, this will only increase. Additionally, less than half of those bottles purchased in 2016 were recycled, with just 7% collected, turned into new bottles or another product. And the rest ended up in landfill sites or in the ocean. So now that we understand the immense amount of plastic that is on planet Earth, the question becomes, where does it end up? Humans don't want to deal with the plastic the plastic mess they've created, and they don't want it in their own backyards. So it ends up in landfills and often natural environments. A whopping 73% of the litter that is on beaches is plastic. And where does it go from there? The water. Because of this, more than 1 million seabirds and 100,000 marine mammals have died each year from ingesting plastic trash. Plastic does not discriminate. Millions of animals are killed by plastics every year, from birds to other marine organisms. Most of the deaths of larger animals are due to ingestion. They eat the plastic thinking that it's food, and then end up starving to death because it blocks their digestive tracts, gives them a sense of being full, and so then they don't eat. Or they are killed by strangulation, either by abandoned fishing gear like fishing nets or lines, or abandoned six-pack rings. Plastics can block the digestive tract or pierce the organ, causing death. When ingested, the stomach becomes so packed it reduces the urge to eat. Microplastics, which are tiny bits of plastic such as glitter or microfibers, have been found in more than 100 aquatic species, such as shrimp, fish, mussels, which are all destined for our dinner plates. Another clear example of showing us that plastic never really goes away. In many cases, these tiny bits of plastic pass through the human digestive tract without issue. However, the consequences of long-term ingestion are not yet known. Considering the harm plastic does to the environment and even on the health of humans, it is clear that a change needs to be made. But what can be done to stem this spread of issues caused by plastic pollution? It may sound daunting, but every issue of solvency begins at home. People can take matters into their own hands and replace single-use plastics with reusable alternatives, such as water bottles, shopping bags, food wrappers, and produce bags. The market is full of items that can be used with a clear conscience and without contributing to the plastic pollution problem. Buying items in bulk and buying foods that do not come wrapped in plastic or in plastic packaging is another way you can help. Bringing reusable containers to restaurants with you reduces the use of plastic or styrofoam takeout containers. On a larger scale, governments like Canada are taking matters into their own hands and legislating change. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced in June that Canada will ban single-use plastics by 2021, and India announced the same to ban single-use plastics by 2022. Other countries are starting with their tourism industries. Peru has announced that they will no longer allow plastic water bottles or plastic bags to be brought into naturally and culturally protected environments. At Machu Picchu, it is estimated that the tourists produced an average of 14 tons of trash every single day. Because of this, they're no longer allowed to bring in water bottles. Local governments in the US are also banning single-use items such as straws and styrofoam. So today we covered the basics of plastics, how they affect wildlife, and different solutions for these issues. Plastic, no doubt, is a useful product, but it has overwhelmingly done more harm than good. The real goal needs to be reusable instead of recyclable. So I challenge you to begin at home, because as the Lorax so wisely tells us, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. Do you have any questions? It's a lot of information to take in.
What percentage did you say is recycled? Was it 9%?
Yeah, 9%
Oh, wow,
of all the plastic has been recycled.
that's amazing.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.